365.
365?
Yep. Do it start. This one I've had before either. There we go. Lovely start to the week down here. 4 nights ahead of us, and just had this one on the first evening. Once I've only been out there probably a couple of hours or so, and this one's rattled off on the old faithful Nino Ester again. Just gone 26.5, so a couple of photos. Pop it back and sort the rods out before it gets too dark, and be time to get some grub on then, I reckon. Cracking fish. Right, so I guess I ought to give you a bit of a catch up on what's been going on this sort of last month or so, or what's not been going on is probably more accurate, I suppose. August was a pretty poor month in a lot of areas, to be fair. You know, on the fishing front, other than getting down to Churchwood, a lot of my sort of original plans didn't really come into effect as I'd hoped, and it was a bit of a rough month in a sort of personal area as well. A couple of days before I was due to head down to Churchwood, which you've just seen that little clip of at the start of the video. One or two of you may well have noticed I had a bit of a shiner on my right eye. This was from a guy coming into the tackle shop. I think it was actually late July, last couple of days of July. Basically tried to grab hold of the till, get into the till. We had a bit of a scuffle, at which point I ended up being on the receiving end of a headbutt and 3 or 4 swings to the face as well. So yeah, that wasn't an ideal preparation for the week down at Churchwood, but it is what it is. You know, he didn't really hurt me much other than the sort of superficial damage to my face, shall we say, with the bruising and the swelling. So yeah, that wasn't a great end to last month / start to this month, but there we go. Churchwood was enjoyable as always, not as prolific as it was back at the end of April when I went with Simon. It was quite warm while we were down there. There seemed to be a lot of little cats up and about, which I actually found when I went down there in August 2 or 3 years back as well. There was a lot of smaller cats about, whereas at the start of the year it seems to be the case where they're perhaps not quite as active as what the bigger ones are. Perhaps the bigger ones wake up a little bit quicker, I'm not too sure, or maybe we just didn't hit it quite right this time around. I did manage a couple of better fish on the float. On as far as the sort of bottom fishing rods go, there wasn't really a massive amount on those. That one that you saw Ollie losing was probably the biggest fish we hooked on the sort of pellet rods all week, I would have said. Although we didn't see it, it did look like a very good fish when he hooked into it. Other than that, it was quite frustrating. I think there was at least one fish trailing a bit of line and possibly a lead, hopefully not, but possibly, because every sort of evening we just have absolutely ripping takes on the rods and just lift up into nothing. We wouldn't even sort of feel fish bump off or anything like that, so either it was, like I say, a trailer, or possibly little small cats kind of picking up the hook bait and not getting the hook. I don't know, but whatever it was quite frustrating, to be fair. But like I say, it's always a great week down there. It's a lovely place. You know, Steve is a great bloke and a great fishery owner, and it's always a privilege to fish the lakes down there. And we also got an ice cream halfway through the week as well, which is quite welcome in the warm weather. Going on from there, the following week I had my little girl with me, so there was no fishing that week at all. Week after that I had planned to get down onto my Syndicate Lake again, because I hadn't been over there for, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks at that point, with obviously the Churchwood trip and one thing and another. I got down there on the Tuesday, Tuesday night before work, and got everything set nicely. There was a few fish about, and I was actually down there by myself, which was a bit of a surprise. And about 2:30 in the morning, I think it was my middle rod, absolutely melted off. I hit into it, had it on for, I don't know, maybe 15-20 seconds or so, and then the hook just pulled. Just one of those things. Don't really know why. You know, the hook point was good. Everything looked good. So it's perhaps one of those I just nicked right on the edge of the mouth or something, and it just pulled free in the battle, unfortunately. So I got that rebaited back out there again, and about an hour or so later, my right hand rod sort of flew off, and then as I got about halfway to the rod, it just stopped. Which was a bit frustrating. So obviously with it having it's taken a bit of line, so I it definitely wasn't a liner, so I picked the rod up, reeled it in, and under the torchlight I noticed I couldn't see my hook bait at all as I was reeling it through the water, and upon swinging the lead up and out of the water into my hand, I saw that my swivel had broken. First time in 25-30 years of fishing where I've had a swivel go in any kind of angling. Really strange one. You know, I've had those leaders on there for a fair while. You know, I've caught plenty of fish on all of the rods. So all I can think is it's just weakened up over time or something like that. Maybe got bent over somehow. But yeah, basically the little sort of quick change hook that was on the swivel inside the lead clip, it just pulled out from there. So yeah, it was a bit of a gutter. 2 takes, 2 hooked fish, and 1 hook pull and 1 swivel breakage. So yeah, it was quite frustrating. I didn't bother re-tackling up after that, if I'm honest. You know, it was about 4 o'clock in the morning at that point, and I had to be up at work at 5:30, so plus my patience was rather thin at that point as well, so retying a new rig and new leader at that time in the morning wasn't going to happen. But the following night I had my second COVID jab over at King's Lynn. Stopped in there on my way home from work, and I'd planned to go the following evening once I'd finished on the Thursday. You know, I thought if I'll get up in the morning, I'm feeling okay, I'll get the car loaded up, which I did. You know, I woke up, I had a bit of a sort of dead arm like I did the first time round, but other than that I was all fine. Got the bait out the freezer, loaded the car up, got to work, you know, all was good, and then I was actually going to head over to the new Syndicate Lake. About halfway through the afternoon, I started feeling really kind of lightheaded, achy, sort of coming out in a bit of a cold sweat and everything, and didn't feel great at all. At which point I made the decision to head down to Trinity instead, as it was it was a bit closer to work. It was one I knew I could just drop straight onto, plonk a couple of rods out there rather, and get fishing nice and easily. And yeah, by the time I got down there, I really didn't feel great at all. Josh was fishing 3 swims up from me as well, and yeah, I was just going to go and drop a couple of rods in the margin and collapse for the night basically, which I did. It took me a fair old while to get set up and sorted out with how crappy I was feeling, and then not long after dark I was feeling even worse, and I just decided to reel the rods in, so I didn't feel like I'd be up to managing anything should I be lucky enough to catch something. So yeah, I just made the decision to reel the rods in, leave them on the rests, and just get a good night's sleep before I had to pack away the following morning. Following week again, I had my little girl with me, and that pretty much brings us up to now. This Sunday just gone, I was supposed to be going out tote fishing again with Gareth, but unfortunately, because we've had reasonably sort of strong northerly winds pushing in right through the week, and they gradually got worse towards the weekend. On the Friday sort of evening time, I rang the skipper, and he said it was going to be very, very unlikely that we'd be able to get out, because there was about a 5 or 6 foot swell out at sea, which obviously is pretty rough and near enough unfishable when you're up tiding for the tote, to be honest. Let alone not overly safe either. So yeah, that was another plan that got well and truly knocked on the head. Yeah, today I'm down at a little day ticket lake. I've done a bit on over the years. If you remember the diaries back from, I think it was 2018, because it was the year of the football Euros. Yeah, I did a bit on here through that summer. I had a fair few fish up to just shy of £40. One called floppy tail. I actually had that fish twice. Yeah, it's always a lake I like to drop onto for a couple of nights each year if I can do. You know, some nice fish in here, and it's just quite enjoyable fishing, and a nice place to come down for a bit of a social with one of my mates. And this week I'm down here with Adam. We've got 4 nights ahead of us, of which tonight is the first night. And you'll have also seen that 26 I had earlier on. I think it's been very, very busy over the weekend. Apparently there's been sort of 7 or 8 people on through Friday, Saturday and Sunday night, because it's been a bank holiday. There's only been 1 fish caught and 1 fish lost during that time. Yeah, when I got down here, I found a few fish over a bit of shallower water. It's an area of the lake I've done quite well in the past. And Adam is fishing about 40-50 yards up from me, I suppose, more around the centre of the lake, and he's got a couple of rods out in a similar kind of line to where I've had that 26 earlier on. You know, we were watching them, and they were kind of coming off of the shallower water into this deep sort of, I suppose it's a bit of a sort of gully in between the shallow area and the near margin, and they just seem to be going up and down there. So I've got my left rod out more alongside the edge of this shallow bit of water. My other one that I had the fish on is kind of in this gully on the front edge of it, and then Adam has got his left rod a bit further up to my right hand margin, and then his right rod is sort of fished around the centre of the lake, which it always holds a few fish around there. You know, there's a big reed bed there, and a lot of pads as well, so he's got a couple of nice drops down there for him. So you know, I'm confident in all the rods. You know, to be honest, the one that I caught the fish on was probably the one I was least confident in. But yeah, now that's I've had a fish off of there. The other 3 went down nice. Got a fair, oh no, liner. That's that same rod again. So yeah, where was he? Yeah, we've got a good helping of the pure bait amino ester around them all. They do seem to love that bait in here. It's always done me a few bites every time I've been down here with it. And yeah, we've just gone into the first night of 4, so fingers crossed there'll be a couple more fish through the week as well. You know, the main aim is to hopefully get Adam his first 30. You know, that's what we've come down here obviously for a social and a few nights fishing, but if there was going to be a target for the week, that is kind of what it is. So fingers crossed that'll happen for him. He's not actually had a fish out of here yet. We've fished it a couple of times in the past together, and he's not managed to break his duck yet, so fingers crossed tonight may be the night, and if not, then he'll get one before the the week's out. But I'm going to leave it there because I've been blabbing on for a fair while now, catching up with everything, and yeah, hopefully we'll catch up at some point tonight. If not, then tomorrow morning or afternoon, or at some point when I'll get a spare 10 minutes or so, I'll come up here and fill you in on anything that's happened in between times. So I shall turn off now, get my head down, and yeah, fingers crossed I'll have a decent sleep and maybe a fish or two. Number 2 of the session. Just been watching them coming in. Just been watching them come in on the same spot as I had that 26 from yesterday, and yeah, I was just about to walk back to Adam and say it's not going to be too long before it rips off, and off it went. Another lovely mirror. Got a couple of photos and popped them rods back out. It went through my left line as well on the way in, so give that one a redo anyway. So I've been out all night, so yeah, another cracking fish. Oh, little jack bite. What? Little jack bite. Jack bite? Yeah. Yeah, it is, mate. Right, well, it's been quite a productive little session down here so far, to be fair. You've obviously seen those 2 mirrors I've had, the 26 and the one that was just over 20. Unfortunately, I did lose one probably around about an hour after that last 20 mirror I had. It was on my left hand rod this time, and it absolutely flew off and just kited round on a tight line down my left margin, and did me in some sort of marginal pads down in the edge, unfortunately. Did try my best to try and get it out of there. Went round to the following swim up, and sort of got out on a tree branch there, trying to free it, but I think in the end it did drop the hook, because all the another liner. All the movement I was sort of seeing on the surface of the pads where it had gone in, that seemed to stop. So it's barbless hooks in here, so I'm guessing it probably just dropped it in the stems of the pads, and that was that, unfortunately. But I've gotten back out there again. The fish are still sort of circling around the area. They're looking an awful lot more cautious than they were this morning and yesterday afternoon. But you know, it's reasonably positive that they're still here and they've not completely vanished and gone up the other end or anything like that. So I've got reasonably high hopes of this evening and tonight. Possibly getting another one to add to those two I've already managed. So yeah, I'm just going to have a quick sort of afternoon power nap now, and then we'll probably get the rod sorted at about 5:30, 6 o'clock time. Get them out in the water, fresh baits on, get a little bit more free, a few more free offerings out there, and just let the swims sort of settle in, stay quiet then. And fingers crossed they'll get their heads down and have another feed. Just got the rods resorted for the evening. A little bit earlier than what I'd originally planned, but I had another take on the right hand rod about sort of half hour, 40 minutes ago. I was actually on the phone to one of my mates, Chris, at the time, and yeah, the right rod absolutely ripped off. I could see it bow waving up and over the shallow water out there. As soon as I kind of got to the rod and tightened the clutch down a bit, the carp actually came and tail walked out of the water. It's the first time in God knows how many years of carp fishing I've ever had that happen to me. I've had it happen with sort of smaller fish, and obviously pike as well, but yeah, I've never had a sort of, it didn't look huge, it's probably mid to high doubles maybe, but yeah, it just came clean out of the water. I thought it'd come off at that point actually, but it then darted straight back towards me again, right under the near margin. Got round my left hand line and yeah, managed to get it off of that, come up to the top, and it shook its head a couple of times, and unfortunately, as is often the case with barbless hooks, it managed to shake it out, and that was that. So that's two on the trot now that have got the better of me in one way or another, which is a bit frustrating, but yeah, I'm still getting the bite, so I can't complain as far as that goes. There are still fish in the area, so I've got the rods out and set for the evening now. I'm just going to have a walk up to Adam's swim in a second, and we'll get his rods sorted out as well, and fingers crossed he can get one either through this evening or during the hours of darkness. So yeah, unless I do get another fish this evening, I shall call that it for now. So I'll get Adam's rod sorted out, I'll have some dinner, and have an hour or two sort of socialising up there with him, and it'll be time for bed, I would imagine. Yeah, reasonably confident of a bit more action. 4 takes in 24 hours isn't bad going. You know, I'm more than happy with that down here. Yeah, so it'd just be nice to see Adam get one now, and yeah, we can really kind of settle into the session and start relaxing and enjoying it to its fullest then. So yeah, alright, I'm going to pop off, get up there, get him sorted, and yeah, fingers crossed we'll be seeing you soon with another fish on the bank. It's late Wednesday morning now. Yeah, a little bit to fill you in on from yesterday. Adam unfortunately had a hook pull about 6:30 time. it was a rod we repositioned over to some pads on the far side. We've seen a few fish moving over there, and it only took probably 2 or 3 hours to get the bite, but unfortunately got it all the way back across the lake towards the net, and the hook pulled close in. A little bit later on, not too long after dark, it's probably about 7:30 time I suppose, my left hand rod sort of steadily headed off, and as soon as I hit into it, it felt a lot slower, weightier, a lot more purposeful than any of the other fish that I'd hooked so far this session. And having seen that big one floating around for most of the time I've been here in this area, I've got a really horrible feeling it may well have been that one. There's a couple that go sort of low to mid 40s in here. I'm really hoping it wasn't that, but yeah, something deep inside is telling me I lost a very good fish then. And the other couple that I'd lost early in the day, I wasn't too fussed about. They were zipping about all over the place, sort of typical smaller fish, but this one just felt really solid, really slow and weighty. But it came off unfortunately. So I had it on for a couple of minutes, but I've got a bit of a nasty sort of bank of really thick blanket weed just under my rods. Probably goes to about 10-12 foot out into the lake, and so it was after dark, so I couldn't really see what was going on, and it just buried itself in amongst that, and I'm guessing probably just got a bit of a funny angle on the line. And again, the barbless hooks, it's as soon as it's got a bit of slack to work with, it's obviously dropped that hook out. So yeah, I was absolutely gutted, but after that the rest of the night passed very uneventfully. A couple of small liners, but nothing really to get overly excited about. And then I've just seen them starting to sort of head up onto the shallower water again now. I've seen a couple of groups of fish just cruising about like they were yesterday, so fingers crossed they will stay in the area, and I'm going to give these couple of rods a bit of a freshen up, get some fresh pop-ups on, get a little bit more bait out there just to get a bit more attraction in the water, and hopefully pull them down onto that bait like they did yesterday. So I shall head off now, get them sorted, and fingers crossed the next fish we hook will end up on the bank, because I'm not sure me or Adam can deal with any more lost fish. That's 4 on the trot between us now, so it's a pretty poor ratio, to be fair, after that good start of 2 on the bank. But yeah, that's what fishing can do to you at times, but we're getting the bite, so that's at least the first step. We just need to get them in that net and on the bank now. And there we go, finally got one in the net. It's just gone 25-15 this one, and it's the first one we managed to land after 5 losses on the trot, unfortunately. Adam lost one more this morning, literally about 2 seconds away from pulling the net up around it, and it just came off unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully this one will get things moving again in the right direction. And there'll be a few more to follow this afternoon and tonight. She's away. Yes, you are seeing this right. That is a wet net in Adam's swim. And it has got a fish inside it.
I hate struggling with bloody net, it's new, innit? That's 20. That's 20.
Yes, I bet quite like all of it actually. It's a nice fish, isn't it?
I think he spat it out.
Is he?
Yeah. Whoa. There's a good little fishy. Very right, that's a bit.
Fish.
That's it. And can you? I reckon about 22.
Might be a little bit bigger than that.
You think?
Yeah, I'm going to go about 23 and a half, I reckon. To 12.
22-12.
22-12, yeah.
Good guess, wasn't it? Hey. Oh. What's the biggest carp of the year?
The first one out of here as well.
It is my first one out of here, yeah. So. She's dirty. Cracking fish.
A lovely fish in here, isn't there?
What's the same mark on it? That one you had?
Yeah, that was a bit fatter than that one.
No, the redness there.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's a little scale that's got caught in it somewhere.
That is the problem when they're locked up like that, isn't it? It's... God damn. Well, there we go. £22.15. My first fish from this lake. Very overdue. My third visit to this venue. Beautiful dark colours in these fish. Had 2 blanks now, 2 misses, and finally one in the net.
Whee!
Thanks to Ryan. Nice big bullhead on it. Get some pictures done and get it back to the water for the next one.
I'll get you another one, mate.
Lovely. How many do you think it is?
I thought it was bigger than I thought.
2012. £2 3 ounces left on the last one. There we go. Fish number 2. Another little common, £20, 12 ounces. Rod's only been back in 10 minutes. I don't think Ryan's got his rods out yet, bless him. Just managed to save it from going in the older reed bed. Another cracking fish. Can't go the size of the tails from here. But get his one back, a few pictures, get back out again.
go about 34.12. $33.7.
Oh. Disappointing?
I'll take it. And there we go. The biggest one of the week so far. Just gone 33.7. Cracking mirror. Funny little take. Didn't really know it was on, to be honest with you. Just had a couple of single bleeps. I came up to check the rod, and he'd obviously come back towards me. There was a big old lump of weed around the line, and so just use that as a bit of a pivot point, I reckon. But yeah, we got her in. I'm well made up with this one. Nice to get a 30. Just need to get Adam on now, and the week should be complete. I'm gonna get a couple of quick photos of it, get everything sorted out again, because the other rod got wiped out in the process. And yeah, fingers crossed there should be some more. Right, well that brings Wednesday to a close. Been a bit more successful today, not as many lost fish thankfully. Just that one sort of earlier on this morning for Adam, which was literally sort of seconds away from going over the net cord, unfortunately, when the hook pulled out. But a couple of little tweaks, and fingers crossed, you know, everything will keep going well, because all 4 takes we've had since have gone in the net. He started off with that 25-15 common I had. I have been told he usually sort of sneaks over the 30 mark, but yeah, 25-15 I think is what it went at when I weighed it earlier. Then Adam obviously had his 2 low 20 commons, both lovely fish, and I'm really made up for him as well. It's his first couple of fish out of this particular lake, and they were well deserved and long overdue as well. So yeah, that was a nice way to sort of get the evening rocking, and then it all got topped off with that 33 I had about an hour or so back. Yeah, it was a fish I've actually had before, one called the Pet apparently, and it was the first fish I ever had on the Pure Bait Concepts gear about, what's that, getting on for a couple of years ago now I think. So it's obviously got a bit of a taste for the old amino ester, because that's what I had it on back then as well, and it's fallen to that again this time, as of all the others this week. You know, they really have got onto that bait big time. That's 11 fish we've hooked now. Only landed 6 of them unfortunately, but yeah, you can't win them all, and it is a bit tricky out in front of my swim, in particular with the weed. I say that 33 had a great big ball of weed up the line as well. It was a really sort of funny take. I had a couple of single beeps and then a little sort of small flurry, and I sort of came up just to have a look more than anything, just in case I'd had a bit of a liner and that kind of thing, and see whether the bobbin had moved. And yeah, I got up to the swim, and the bobbin had sort of pulled up tight to the underside of the rod blank, and I'm guessing as I sort of lifted into it, I felt it kind of pull free, and there was a big ball of weed up the line, so I'm guessing it's used that as a bit of a pivot point, and yeah, it just come back towards me and gone down the right margin a little bit. Yeah, she went in the net, so that's all that matters at the end of the day. A little bit of a mess to sort out with all the weed around the line. I ended up absolutely soaked and stinking and horrible, but yeah, I've had a 33, so it's a nice result. As I said earlier, we just need to get Adam on now, hopefully, either tonight or tomorrow night. We've still got about 36 hours or so left of the session. You know, we're not long over halfway through, so there's still plenty of chances. He's had 3 pickups today. So it has been quiet in the night, but fingers crossed something may well happen tomorrow for him, because that will really really make the session if it does. But I'm going to head off now. Got a couple of messages to catch up on and reply to. And I shall get my head down and possibly see you later on. But like I say, most of the takes have been during the day up till sort of 10 in the evening time. So it's likely to be a quiet one through the hours of darkness again, I'd imagine. But you never know. They're out there. They're obviously on the bait and feeding, so fingers crossed we'll have something else to show you pretty soon.
£20, 1 ounce.
I told you to just scrape 20, didn't I?
There's scraping 20, there's scraping 20, isn't there? That's a lot paler than the other one, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's more of a sort of grey colour, isn't it?
Right, there we go, fish number 3 for me, £20, 1 ounce. That's the first time I've had 3 fish over 20 in a session, so things are getting better. Obviously last knockings again, just packing away, getting things sorted. Ripped off, saved it from the weeds, got it back. A lot lighter than the rest of the fish in here, but still pretty nonetheless. So I'll get some few photographs, put it back, and a bit like Ryan, I'll have some more luck later on tonight. Lovely.
Cracking fish.
And there we have it.
Happy days.
Happy days.